Thanks very much, Tim, and Harry, obviously, before that. I hope you can all see my screen. So I'm taking over with a presentation about the challenges of competing in the post-COVID-19 e-commerce landscape. Bit of a mouthful, but what we're going to cover is a few things. Obviously, how e-commerce has changed, some success that we've had partnering with companies like Max Optra, and some key things you can do if you're running an online store and looking to improve things. So, looking back then over the past year, so it's gone by in an instant, for me anyway, and there's been a big change in consumer spending habits that came out as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, as I'm sure you're all aware. And my colleagues have already covered. It caused a spike in e-commerce sales last year, and that was because of the national lockdowns and obviously the fear of people not wanting to contract the virus, so they kept out of those physical stores. The retailers that saw the largest success during the first lockdown were those that were able to accommodate these overnight changes in people's buying habits. And those big players such as Amazon, obviously we know, everyone suddenly turned to Amazon to order everything. In fact, they actually had delivery delays for the first time for a lot of Prime customers, which is unusual. Amazon actually saw website traffic increases of 25% in May last year compared to February of the same year. And in that changing landscape, those businesses that weren't set up for this were left scrambling to keep up with these changes. And platforms such as Shopify saw a huge rise of 178% in their share value. And this success was attributable to the fact that it offers a very quick startup approach for e-commerce websites, coupled with a significant number of useful tools and features that come out of the box, and all for a small monthly fee. So all of this growth meant that Shopify is now actually the third largest online retail platform, and I'm sure you can guess the other two. It's Amazon and eBay. So they're right up there with the big players now because of the pandemic. Retailer success during the pandemic, and that's regardless of platform choice, so not Shopify exclusive, but that's been achieved by extending the traditional e-commerce model. And the successes of fast home delivery and timed curbside pickup shows that people are really quite happy to order online. And the brand loyalty and repeat business is therefore far more likely to increase when the website they purchase from can provide that personal service to their door. And actually 2020 has caused a lot of people to reevaluate what is important to them and of course what's important to their wallets. Savings made by consumers because they've reduced their commuting, there's global travel bans, all of this has accelerated the growth of merchants who have catered for those loyal customers. And people have gone on to replace their regular shopping rituals, treating yourself to a coffee, etc., and those kind of self-rewards with online buying alternatives, which has in turn triggered a boom in the subscription model websites. And we're now seeing a large amount of these offering all sorts of products, some things you wouldn't expect to be available. Razor blades, avocados, they're popping up everywhere, and they're all supporting these repeat orders on an automated basis. Right, so fasten your safety belts. The pandemic, as we know, is not over yet. Things are starting to ease, but it's already left an enduring mark on the consumer landscape. Most people just don't really realize how far that impact has been, aside from you noticing that the Amazon driver turns up at your neighbor's house more often. If you step back from the anecdotal evidence and actually look at the figures, the changes are actually quite astounding. So 150 million new people shopped online for the first time during 2020. And according to a global survey conducted by Shopify across 11 different markets, 84% of those consumers 84% of all consumers, shopped online during the pandemic. At the height of the COVID pandemic, we saw 10 years of e-commerce growth happen in just 90 days. And e-commerce on its own is now 16.4% of the total global retail sales. And when you bring that down into Europe, it represents 19% growth in 2020 alone. And that's the kind of progression that would have typically taken years in normal times. And it took just a few weeks as the pandemic took hold. So where are we now? Lockdown's easing, the vaccinations are rolling out. You only had to look at the news this week to see that as the shops open, people are queuing up to get back in the store. But I think that kind of masks the fact that people's habits have changed. It just shows that people have got money they want to spend. So it's time to get competitive online and up your game if you're not doing these things already. So some of this may be echoing my colleagues. Obviously, we've all got the same opinion on this. It's quite good that we've all reached the same conclusions. Personalized delivery. So this is focusing on taking it within your own fleet if you can. So if you're serving customers nationally with a courier, that's absolutely fine. They're beyond your reach. But if you can build something into your operations to automatically split out those inbound orders, which are within a radius of your business premises, and deliver to them personally, you're naturally going to build some kind of loyalty and engagement from them. Keeping those delivery costs simple and making sure it's fast. As Tim mentioned, there is one of the highest reasons for abandonment at the cart is the shipping costs. So if you can build that into your pricing, you're likely to see a higher conversion. Carrying that forward with the branded experience. So if you're not able to deliver yourself, then stick it in a box that's got your brand on it, parcel tape that's branded up, all of these little things, throwing a few leaflets in or promotional documentation, maybe a discount code for your website next time. All of these things add to the brand experience, and obviously we recommend those. Striving for a world-class customer experience, and what we mean by that is just optimizing all of those customer touch points. So every time they get in touch with you, whether that's to complain or whether that's to create a return, for example, the experience needs to be second to none. You need to focus on that. Returns are a natural part of selling online. It's distance selling. Treat them as if they're buying something from you, and you're likely to achieve loyalty long term. So communicating with your audience in a consistent way, you've got to be friendly and approachable, prove that you're a human too. We all want to deal with humans. It's taking that, what would have been a face-to-face experience in store online, and applying that throughout. So be personable. If you combine all of these things, you're naturally going to drive a bit of loyalty, but why not take things a little bit further and actually implement a customer loyalty scheme where you can incentivize your customers? And that can be with monetary rewards or perhaps even free gifts. And as we mentioned earlier, subscriptions are a huge thing now. So to highlight just how important this has been in 2020, Shopify actually re-engineered their payment platform, or the payment engine, to accommodate for repeat payments, which has actually made it easier if you're using their platform to get started offering subscriptions. And of course, as we've already mentioned, absolutely nothing is off limits. Remember that consumers worldwide are now buying items that they rarely purchased online before the pandemic. Groceries, health and hygiene, home essentials, DIY, fitness products, it's all there. And some of them they're likely to want to receive at regular intervals, so give the customer the choice. Right, so we're going to have a bit of a look at some work we've done for one of our clients now, so I can go into these things in more detail. This is a website for a company called the Parsons Nose, and they're butchers in London. They have three retail premises across South London. We actually won the best deployment of an e-commerce platform at the UK Dev Awards. And of course, we've been very proud to support their growth during the pandemic. When we go back to my second slide, I think it was, we were talking about the statistics of e-commerce. To give you something in real terms, Parsons Nose took their online e-commerce sales in the year 2019 from which under £10,000 for the whole year to over £1 million of revenue through their website in 2020. So we're going to take a look at how we did that. So obviously, I've mentioned Shopify a couple of times. At Kayo, we do offer a variety of e-commerce platforms, Magento, obviously WooCommerce, etc. Shopify, being very easy to get started on, is very, very popular, and it's something that does kind of keep coming up as a recurring theme. Parsons Nose is Shopify Plus, which is the sort of more premium version of that. They didn't start off on Plus, but as they matured through the pandemic and their needs changed, we moved them onto that to introduce some new features. And those features, there's many of them, but I'll go through some of the top ones. So there's an option called Script Editor, which is really useful for automating tasks on your store. It can create custom pricing and promotions, so buy one, get one free. It can create product bundles and product combination offers, and you can even use it to identify VIP customers based on the number of orders they've made on your store, and then apply rewards automatically. So it's kind of bringing in that loyalty and automating that slightly. You also get something called Shopify Flow, which is a workflow tool that allows you to automate workflows and simplify the management of your store. So for example, it can hide out of stock products automatically, and it can send customized thank you messages for customers that place large orders. So it's removing the need to do a lot of human intervention as those orders come in and as you get busier. Editable checkout pages. This is one that sounds like a strange thing to put on a list of features, but essentially Shopify being a hosted platform, their payment and checkout pages are hosted too, and they're fairly locked down. With Shopify Plus, you get the option to edit and modify those by adding in extra information. So with Parsons Knows, we do this to show the delivery date and time that the customer has selected, and also offer a reminder that the customer is able to add items to their order through the customer account pages, and they can do that up to 24 hours in advance of their order being dispatched. So without the Plus ability to edit those pages, we wouldn't be able to put that little promotion in at the last minute. You do get to have multiple stores under the same license, which is an interesting one. Obviously, it being a hosted platform, if you're on one of the lower tiers and you wanted to create a copy of your store for testing, you'd end up having to pay the additional licensing to run that store. With Plus, you get to have multiple stores under the same license, which is a really useful thing. As your store grows, you kind of want a little sandbox development area to make those changes and work with your agency or your developers to do those before they go live. So that's really useful. You get a greater API scope. So with Plus, you can do more things essentially. So an API allows you to develop on top of their platform and create custom interactions. With Plus, there's just more options available, so it allows you to customize things a lot further. And as the name suggests, Shopify Plus is designed for high volume stores. Their support team therefore provide rapid around-the-clock assistance when needed. Okay, Headless. So at this point, if we were doing a real face-to-face presentation, I'd be looking into the audience to see some confused faces. Some of you may have heard this term. I'm pretty sure very few of you have. But essentially, Headless is an approach to building websites that allows you to choose a tool that is fit for the job. So you essentially decouple the front end, and you can get the front end pages of the website driven by your favorite CMS, and the back end is powered by the e-commerce platform, in this case Shopify. So it gives you greater control of the page layouts, which is perfect for those running more marketing focused websites. So it's not just a shop, it has a blog or and other areas, promotions and things where you want to get a bit more creative with your page layouts. You get a faster user interface. So in the case of Parsons Knows, we actually, because it's headless, we use a technology called React, which is a JavaScript framework, and that actually makes the loading times of pages much faster, which is good for SEO, obviously. And of course, there's when you decouple and go headless, it gives you more scope for building the user experience that fits your business precisely, so you can add in functionality where you need it. Right, so getting into the basics of e-commerce, so configurable product recommendations. So these kind of things are everywhere, as you've probably seen. But what we did was we made them a bit more intelligent with the aim of increasing conversion rates. So leveraging the power of being headless, we built 2 tiers into the recommendation system from the CMS side of the website, which is completely separate to the Shopify part. First one is cross-linking, which is obviously fairly commonplace. You've all seen it on a website where you're buying, you're looking at a certain product, it suggests ones that are similar, and that's the important part. What we did then was to extend it by building in complementary products. So as well as similar products, we have a system of linking products that complement one. So in this case, you've added the tomahawk steak to your cart, and it gives you a prompt to add the chimichurri sauce to go with it. So it's a simple thing there, but we actually saw a big uplift in conversions on those smaller items by putting that prompt in front of the customer when they add something to their basket. Taking that further, we actually then built the same kind of intelligence into the cart page. So what we do is we look at the cart contents and we observe what we've set up behind the scenes, and we show 3 products which relate to the items in your cart. And it's intelligent enough to know that if you've already got one of those in your cart, it doesn't need to be shown, and it can then show an alternative. Pretty simple stuff, but it works really well, and I think that's the real key thing with e-commerce, is to look at the smaller details. The marginal gains can often build up to higher conversions across the board. So taking things on to the actual fulfillment side then, so store collection and delivery options. This has been a key part in catering for the change in the consumer habits, as we've already spoken about during the pandemic. Parsons Knowes are able to offer store collection from any of their 3 stores, and also a personalised same-day home delivery service. And they do that now right up until 10 p.m. at night, which is obviously catering for people's requirements. We do that using an app for Shopify called Zapier, which adds a customer postcode prompt to the cart, which then, when entered, you get to see available delivery slots based on your postcode. So being headless, we had to integrate that by using their API. So it slots right into our customized cart. And one of the strengths of Zapier is that you can actually set, for both collection and delivery, an order preparation time. So obviously, if someone goes onto your store, you don't want them to be turning up 5 minutes after they've placed the order to collect it. So you build that lead time into it. Excuse me. And obviously this can be tweaked depending on the day of the week. So if you've got people coming to collect on Monday, you don't necessarily want them ordering on a Sunday and turning up at 9 a.m. to collect. You can build that lead time into it. So by asking for the customer postcode at the cart level, you can within the system, you can basically set which postcodes you deliver to. So you as you expand and grow, you can deliver further afield. And offer a more personalised service to more customers. And obviously ones that fall outside of that, you can offer ordinary courier shipping. In the case of the Parsons Knowes, it being fresh produce, they only do personalised delivery, but the options are there for you to do both. And those slots are customisable, so you can even configure the number of orders you want to deliver per slot, as I hope you can kind of see on the screenshot there. We've got a variety of different slots set up for a Monday, and the order limits vary. So the first slot, you can only have 10 orders in that particular one, but in the afternoon they're allowing 40 orders. So the next thing we did, continuing with the fulfillment side of things, we built actually a separate fulfillment portal for the Parsons Knowes, and this is to help run the operational side of things. Obviously, the more orders you get, the more complicated things become. So we built this portal which allows the butchers in the stores, because they're the guys that are going to be getting the meat together for dispatching, to have a simple interface. So the data is pulled directly out of Shopify using their API. The interface itself is designed to be simple. It's a touchscreen interface. They have this in the back rooms of their butchers, based on sort of ruggedized iPads. I don't know if you've ever seen a butcher, their fingers tend to be quite large, so it's obviously key to have a large area to tap and drag it across. So that was just a simple thing, but it's proved to be very effective. It also does receipt and label printing. So the receipt goes into the box for the customer, and then a label gets printed and that gets attached on the end of the box. And again, this is all branded. The box is branded. I believe it's they're made with sustainable materials, and obviously it's the label itself also has the Parsons Knowes branding on it. And then this is where once that's all done, we get a list of completed orders, and with one click, all of that information gets pushed into Max Optra. So obviously you've heard Tim talk about the platform. It allows them to essentially click a button and it will optimize delivery routes based on the number of vehicles they have, and obviously the number of drivers, and where those orders need to be and at what time. And you can kind of see there from the screenshot just how intricate that can be. The numbers that you see there are actually the delivery times. And you can actually feed that information back into your platform so that the customer knows the time that the delivery is going to be made. Okay, so loyalty scheme, we've spoken about this a little bit. Loyalty, rewarding for loyalty is a really, really powerful tool. Obviously, you're not paying someone to be loyal, but you're giving them a loyalty incentive. And obviously, this has been around for a long time. The Tesco Club card was invented in the mid 90s, I think it was. And it's a similar principle. So for the Parsons Nose, we use Loyalty Line, which is a third-party piece of software which has a Shopify app, and you can reward your customers for each pound that they spend, and you can even set up rewards for simple tasks. So, for example, if they follow you on social media, you can give them a small reward, and also you can send out an automatic reward when it's a customer's birthday, for example, which is also quite a nice touch. There's incentives to save those points for higher rewards. Now, the Parsons Nose do this really well. They offer a vineyard tour, then they offer butchery masterclasses once you get to a very high points threshold. So it's actually encouraging customers, rather than redeeming them in your store to give you money off, they're actually saving them up for more higher value experiences. And you kind of see that's kind of mirroring what the large loyalty schemes like Nectar, etc. do. You can convert your points into something else to be used. So it's quite a powerful tool. We're actually striving for a bit more innovation on this. So because this is an online rewards scheme, we're currently working on a project to do some custom development with them, where we're linking data from their till system in store through to their Shopify store, which will in turn allow us to reward customers for purchases in store as well as online, which is going to be a big release and a very powerful tool when we do that. So that'll be following later this year. So subscriptions then, coming back to this, introducing subscriptions into a store is a bit of a no-brainer when you think about fresh foods. As you can see from the screen there, we've got a veg box. So for Parsons Nose, we're using a system called Recharge, which is an add-on for Shopify. It allows you to create configurable intervals based on days, weeks, or months. And with that, you can limit it to a certain set of products as well. So you don't have to offer subscriptions on everything. You might not want to offer subscriptions on really low value items, for example. And then what happens is the system automatically places the order on your site as if the customer has just done it themselves. So really easy to handle. And then customers also get an account area to manage subscriptions, so they can postpone a delivery, cancel, adjust what's on their order, etc. So really useful, kind of self-service really. I mean, all you have to do is get it set up. Those orders will start coming into your system. Customer can handle the account themselves. So it's very, very easy to get going. So recapping then, simple solutions are often the best. So the technology is there for you to use to help you achieve growth. So what we're saying then is allow customers to choose if they want to come and collect their order or have it delivered. So obviously Shopify is providing this functionality by default these days, but third-party apps like Zapier can help you take this further, and it allows customers to choose exactly when they want an item delivered or when they want to come and collect it, which also makes it easier for you to plan your business operations. Offering free shipping to the customer, it doesn't make your job much easier, but there are tools out there such as Shipper HQ and ShipStation, which you can integrate into your store. And they also in turn then integrate with the majority of courier companies, and can also produce automatic shipping labels with tracking notifications that are then fed back into your store. Personalized delivery planning, so this is obviously not the courier side of things, this is where you're using your own fleet. We'd obviously recommend Max Optra. We've done a number of projects with them now, and we continue to recommend them. I can't think of another solution that does the same kind of work as that. The orders can be uploaded in bulk, as we've mentioned with Parsons Nose, and at a click of a button, it all gets optimized, and your delivery drivers can even download a mobile app so that they've got navigation and also signature recording for proof of attendance. So it's a really great system. Obviously, chat and customer service options. Live chat and chat bots are known to convert browsing customers into purchasing ones. Start simple with free solutions such as Talk.to, and then later you can progress to more automated systems that can give you round-the-clock customer service. Loyalty-specific software such as Loyalty Line can offer you a highly configurable way to implement incentives. Customers obviously start earning reward points for each pound they spend, and that can be redeemed as vouchers off their next order, as we covered. You can even configure those rewards to promote those activities, such as liking your Facebook page or referring friends. So adding subscriptions to your store is easy. Obviously, using tools like Recharge, customers get to choose the frequency of when they receive your product, and of course, you get to increase the lifetime value of those customers and continue to engage them with your brand. So bespoke developments, we do a lot of this at Kayo. It's really bringing that synergy across your platform, so they don't have to carry a hefty price tag. They quickly add value to your business operations. Pulling data out of your e-commerce system and generating a custom report which shows products you need in stock on certain days is a really easy win and fairly easy to achieve by accessing these systems APIs to gather the data and convert it. So, it doesn't have to be something as complex as a fulfillment portal. It can be a bespoke report or something that's just going to make your life easier. So have a think about the kind of things that your business needs to just make it run a little bit smoother. And that goes back to my point earlier, marginal gains. So try to improve and optimize small areas, and you'll see the larger gains suddenly come into effect. And obviously joining it all up. So striving to unify as much of your business software as you can. And when choosing those new tools, check whether they're compatible with other software that you're using. And don't forget, going back to the bespoke developments part, what might seem impossible to you can also be easy for experienced developers. So don't be afraid to reach out to a company such as Kayo, where we can obviously do very technical solutions.